All right, thank you everyone for being here and investing your time with Junior Achievement. My name is Lauren Henderson and I am the Director of Secondary Programs with Junior Achievement of the Palm Beaches and Treasure Coast. And raise your hand if you know what Junior Achievement is. Okay, I have a few of you, that's good. All right, so for those of you who don't know what Junior Achievement is, Junior Achievement is actually a nonprofit, and we partner with schools to provide students like yourselves the opportunity to learn about these 3 words right here: entrepreneurship, work readiness, and financial literacy. Okay, so that's what we do. We're excited to announce that this month, which is Women's Month, I know it's coming to an end, but we've been tuning in on Wednesdays to hear from local female entrepreneurs, to hear how they're crushing it in their industries during our Women Crushing Wednesdays speaker event this month. Students in Palm Beach County and across the Treasure Coast have been able to hear from local female entrepreneurs, and what they're doing is they're telling their story so that you hear what it takes to make it. I'd also like to take this moment to quickly thank Fifth Third Bank and the UPS store for sponsoring this event and making this happen, and of course John N. Leonard High School for hosting us today. Today you guys are going to hear from someone who's very knowledgeable about what it takes to be an entrepreneur. She's actually a serial entrepreneur, and she is now the CEO and co-founder of Simple Venue. So please help me welcome Miss Erika London.
Good morning. How's everyone doing today? Oh, we've got some lively people here. Awesome. This is very exciting. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here today and to chat with all of you about my journey, obviously with the hopes of hopefully teaching you guys something about entrepreneurship and business that you maybe didn't know before today, and the bigger goal of hopefully motivating you and inspiring you to go out and try something new, engage in something that you haven't tried before that maybe you thought you'd be interested in but needed the extra push, and then pursue your dreams long term, seeing how not every story is the same and not every story is necessarily the way you think it started, and hopefully motivate you guys to go out and do something exciting with yourselves. Thank you for the intro. My name is Erika London. I'm an entrepreneur, an investor, an advisor, all of the above, all those fun things that come when you just want to keep doing more and more and more. So we can start, I'll give you a couple highlights about myself, just so you can kind of get a little bit of a feel for my background and a little bit about me. I'm originally from New York. I don't know if any of you guys are from New York in here. Oh, I see one, I see a few. We moved down here with my family a little less than 2 years ago down to Florida. We were on the fast train down after the pandemic, so we're never looking back. We're pretty happy down here. I went to college at NYU in New York City. I was an economics major, and I was originally planning to go into finance and follow a more traditional route of working in wealth management or doing something more corporate and more traditional, what you're kind of used to learning about. I currently own 20 sushi restaurants across the East Coast and as of recently Puerto Rico. So we currently have locations in New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Philadelphia. We just opened in Puerto Rico a couple weeks ago, and we're opening up in new markets throughout the year and continuing that expansion. I wrote a children's book called Queen of the Concrete Jungle, which you guys can buy on Amazon. All proceeds are always being donated to a single mom's charity. So that was a fun, cathartic exercise I did when we moved out of New York City, and it was my tribute to my time there. I started a mobile manicure company in the middle of all my hospitality experience called City Mani, which was acquired by Elizabeth Arden. It started as like a small passion project with a friend, and it's a good example of where you start something for fun as a passion project, and it kind of just takes on a life of its own until you becomes bigger than yourself. And lastly, I'm a mom of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy, and that's it. So, who here, show of hands, knows exactly what they want to do with the rest of their life? Oh, that's impressive. I still don't even know that answer. I'm impressed. The good news is that you're not supposed to, so you guys are a little ahead if you do. But most people at your age definitely do not. I graduated high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I even graduated college, and I still had no idea what I wanted to do. But the good news is that you guys are in the best time of your life to figure that out. This entire, from now, the rest of your life, like I said, I'm still working on it. I think there's a constant evolution. you don't know, right? And then the self-discovery process and the self-discovery journey, I think, is probably one of the most fun and exciting times where you don't have the pressures of, making that decision, and you can take the time where hopefully you have it and explore different opportunities, different jobs, different internships. And the whole point of this is to discover and learn about yourself. And you figure out, what do I like, what I don't like, what I'm good at, what I'm not so good at, like what's driving me, what's exciting to me, what's motivating to me. Because sometimes you think it's one thing and then you actually jump in and try it and you realize that's actually that's not doing it for you, and that's not something you want to pursue. For me, I feel like it was very all over the place. Like I said, I had no idea what I wanted to do even through college. I was majoring in economics. I thought I was going to go more traditional, work in wealth management. And it was fine. I enjoyed it. I was good at it, but there was zero excitement there for me. There was zero passion there for me. And I kind of figured, like, why settle on this instead of continuing to explore and kind of learn more. So I worked at a PR firm where we were, repping all these big clients. I was at all these like Victoria's Secret fashion shows for Fashion Week, and I was like, this is very cool, very star-studded events, but just definitely wasn't my scene. I worked at Merrill Lynch, as I mentioned. I was interning there. They offered me a job out of college that I ended up turning down because I realized it just wasn't for me, and I wasn't going to be happy doing it. I wrote for a local newspaper because I thought I wanted to pursue journalism for a minute. The point of this, the point here is that you should be trying as many different things as possible so you can start learning about yourself and see like what really gets you excited and what really is going to motivate you to succeed. On the bottom here you have proof, which is where I started working at a bar when I was in college, because I figured that would be a fun thing to do. There weren't a lot of sororities around NYU when I was in the city, and I figured this was a great way to make friends and make extra cash, and I started working at a bar. That escalated quickly, and I started as a waitress there almost 20 years ago, and now I own a number of restaurants. And I'll tell you more about that journey and how that happened. So the question is, how did I start working at a bar and now own 20 restaurants less than 20 years later? My favorite thing to tell people is I never dreamed about success, I worked for it. I don't think this is a mystery to anybody. You don't just fall into success. You have to work really hard at it. You have to continue and pursue what you're doing and persist. You're gonna fail, you're gonna fall down. You have to get back up and figure it out. You have to learn from your mistakes. I think that's like the biggest lesson is that just because you fail, people fail every single day. If you get up and keep going, that's what counts. So for me, success looks different for everybody. And I think that's like one of the most important things for people to realize, right? Success for me could look completely different than success for you. Success for her could look completely different than success for him. If you're honest with yourself and if you're following an authentic path for yourself of what is going to make you happy, that's how you're going to succeed. Not following a path that you think you should be doing, not following the path that your parents want you to maybe do, not following the path that your teacher thinks that you'd be really great at this job or this profession. You need to follow your gut instinct and follow yourself and figure out what success looks like. I think one of the hardest parts, one of the biggest challenges about this is that sometimes you really just don't know, which is what I mentioned for myself. There was no like clear-cut path for me. I was really stressed about it all the time. I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm wasting my college time. But then you figure it out. If you put yourself out there and you actually try different things. So for me, I started working at this bar. I was a shop girl, literally walking around passing shots. That's how I started. And then I started waitressing, and then I started bartending. And then I just kind of kept saying yes to every opportunity that was presented to me. I started working on the event planning side of things, where I was like, booking parties and booking events. And then it went from booking 20-person happy hours at a sports bar to then booking weddings at some point for people on a rooftop in New York City. Then I started looking into marketing, being like, okay, well maybe events is good, but I need to be like a little bit more creative. So I started looking into marketing. Marketing then turned into event marketing and event production. At some point I was producing festivals for like thousands of people, which was really, really exciting. And I think once I was in that general area, I started realizing that the operational side, which again, I never considered that to be fun. To me, I was always like, oh, I love being creative, I love the events, I love the marketing. I never really considered that the operational side was really what was going to drive me and motivate me. And then I think once we started doing more of the events and the event production, I learned that, okay, well, now I need to learn the operational side. And I think somewhere along that journey, I realized that it wasn't necessarily hospitality, that I was never seeking to work in restaurants. I was never seeking, my plan was never to own restaurants. But what happened is that somewhere along my journey of trying so many different things and kind of trying my hand at different roles and different experiences, I learned that the entrepreneurial spirit that the hospitality industry embodied is what I became really addicted to. It was that feeling of, okay, we can wake up today and come up with a completely new concept or a completely new idea or a completely new event, and then we had the power, like myself and my team at the time, like I had the power to use my skills and my tools and my network to bring that to a reality, like bring that idea to fruition and bring it to life. And I think that felt so empowering that that's when I kind of got hooked to the hospitality industry because of the entrepreneurial spirit that it embodied. And it was just always so exciting and always so, it was creative, it was exciting, it was motivating, it was fast-paced, and like that's where I kind of realized that this is the environment in which I'm thriving. Along the way, so here's a couple. So Simple Venue is the name of the umbrella company that I currently own and operate. Sushi by Boo is the one that we have 20 restaurants of across the East Coast. Hudson Terrace used to be a nightclub that we owned in the city. Sushi Suite is part of the current portfolio. Trust Bay is an awesome concept that we started last year. Basically, the entire premise is that it's the same format of the sushi restaurant that we have, but we take talented and passionate female chefs. We incubate them within our infrastructure and basically provide them with a platform to then build up their own restaurant after. So they basically sign on to like a residency program with us. We put them through like our pipeline, through our process. We teach them how to run a business, how to do the marketing, and then after their residency is over, then they go out and they're able to open up their own place. City Nanny is the mobile manicure company that I mentioned earlier. Again, that started as a fun passion project. We were always stuck late at the office, and one of my friends and I were like, wouldn't it be so nice if someone could just come to our office and do my nails like, while I'm sitting on my calls? And then we started that company, and then it got acquired because, again, it came from a passion, something that we were really excited about, which I think you guys can see a trend. Empowering women is definitely one of my missions. So some of these concepts really target the empowerment of women specifically. And then WeShield is the last one. So obviously during the pandemic, most restaurants were shut down, and my partners and I started a company called WeShield where we were providing PPE, like all the masks and sanitizer, and all of those items to hospitals and other organizations in need during the pandemic when it was really hard to source those items. So based on that journey, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a few highlights of what I find to be the most powerful and more important lessons that I've kind of learned from here. People won't give you a chance if you won't give yourself one first. If you underestimate yourself, so will everyone else. There were so many times where I was given an opportunity, but there were so many more times where I wasn't. I put myself up for that opportunity. I heard people talking about like, oh, we're looking to hire this person, and I kind of just put myself out there and said, okay, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. I'm sure you've all heard the fake it till you make it. Fake confidence will go a really long way. And when you start convincing yourself that you can do anything, you actually can do so much more than you think that you're capable of. People see you how you see yourself. That goes with the same idea. So if you start kind of teaching yourself that you can do anything, and you start trying, and even if you fail, you realize it's not a big deal. You just get up and do it all over again. You'll get there. To me, this is the most important thing. Find what ignites the spark within you. That's where success comes from. And then the most successful people are out there to make change, not to make money. And I think that goes to what we were saying before. I was recently at some conference, and somebody, a very successful entrepreneur, said, he was like, somebody once told me that if you don't think about your business or you don't think about your idea in the shower, you're not going to be successful, because that's what is supposed to be keeping you up at night. That's what's constantly playing in your head. How can I do it better? How can I get it? How can I achieve that goal? How can I make it happen? And that's, I think, you have to figure out what's going to ignite that spark, right? Doing a job, like for me, working in finance was not going to do it. I was not excited to get up and go to that internship every day. I was like, okay, I'm good at it. My parents are happy, but it's not doing anything for me. But once I found what ignited that spark for me and what motivated me and what kept me excited, that's when I started thriving. So a lot of you are looking at me like, okay, but I'm in high school and what do I do? So the question is, how do you get started, right? Like, what are the next steps and how do you do it? As I mentioned before, you guys are in a great place to just jump in there and start trying. So people love empowering other people. People love free labor. You guys should go out there, like if there's even an idea in your head, go out there, call somebody, say, I'm looking for an internship, I'm looking to volunteer. The worst thing that happens is they say, no thank you. The best thing that happens, somebody takes you on and you find yourself a mentor by accident, or you find yourself some incredible work experience that shows you and all of a sudden opens up an opportunity for you that you didn't even know was there. It maybe can uncover a skill set that you had no idea you even had, or a passion that you know, was just kind of hibernating within you until somebody helped kind of unmask it. The more hands-on experience you have, even if it's a terrible experience, it's a valuable experience because that'll help you understand what you should or shouldn't be pursuing. The biggest mistake entrepreneurs make, and I think people in general make, is that they wait for perfection. And I think the reason for that is because there's obviously no such thing as perfection. The number of entrepreneur friends that I have that are constantly waiting, like, oh, I'm not gonna launch my website because I'm gonna wait till it's not perfect yet, or I'm not gonna launch this new business idea because I'm still thinking about it. I'm not gonna, you know, launch this new product because it's just not ready. There's no such thing as perfection. We live in a very fast-paced world. If you're not gonna do it, somebody else is gonna do it. And the sooner you do it, the sooner you learn from it, and the sooner you can evolve that idea, or the sooner you can say, this is great, I'm gonna keep going and then learning. Think about Apple, right? Think about the first product that they put out. Was it perfect? No. How many iPhones have they changed? How many times? And every time there's something better, right? There's no such thing as perfect because you're constantly evolving, and that's how you know a product is doing well. And then the last thing on here is asking for help. Reaching out, asking, networking. I know networking feels like a big word, or networking feels like you guys are too young. It's not, right? You guys know so many people, even like in this room, right? Your teachers, they have friends that have different businesses. Your parents have friends that have different businesses. You can start networking right now. Networking, all that means is just basically taking your thoughts and then putting them out into the world so other people can connect you in a way that is meaningful to you and your future and what you want to see your future look like. So then what happens when you really have an idea? Then how do you actually develop it? Does anyone in here have an idea that they're thinking about for a business or for a product or something? Not yet? Okay. When you do have one, the idea is to first define what that idea actually is, whether it's a business, whether, for example, I wrote this children's book, which was like a fun project for me. You have to actually define what the idea is, and then you basically figure out if it's a business, how are you going to make money, right? Like what is the revenue stream? How are you going to make money from your customer base? Then you start working through market research, and you start seeing, okay, what are other competitors doing? What do I like that they're doing? What do I don't like that they're doing? What can I do better? The crazy thing is that most people don't do things because they're like, oh, well, I wanted to start this business, but it already exists. Do you know how many sushi restaurants are in the world, for example? 1 million. But the idea is that you have to figure out what's going to differentiate your business from somebody else's. Does anyone have any idea how many burger restaurants are in the United States? Any guesses? Over 90,000 burger restaurants in the US alone, and somehow they're still all doing well. I don't think there's that many different ways to create a burger, but somehow they're all open and thriving because there's just a demand for it. Then you start testing your idea with a small audience. Obviously, you can't just go to market without a focus group, without a test group, without testing. When you get to that point, the idea is to obviously get anonymous feedback. If you're asking your friends or your parents, of course, they're going to tell you any idea you have is a good one. That's not, the best way to test viability for a product. So the idea is to get anonymous feedback so people can actually give you real honest feedback so you can move forward. And then creating a business plan. I don't know if you guys have started talking about business plans, but basically a business plan is the roadmap, which is a full plan that covers how you're going to get from point A to B, how you're going to take this idea and then how you're going to actually bring it to life, like what your marketing plan looks like, what your funding is going to look like if you need funding for it, who you're marketing to, who your target audience is, all of those things to create a business plan. And then building your brand, obviously, you have to make sure that the core of your brand is to have strong marketing and taking care of your customers. And we can move on to the importance of marketing. So, have you guys learned anything about marketing yet? I see some guesses. What are some ways that companies market to you guys currently? You get marketed to every single day. Social media, TikTok, every single day. I think marketing always feels like some people think it's like a very easy thing, it just is not that important, and some people think it's a very overwhelming thing. Right now, marketing has never been so accessible. Like we said, like you guys everyone gets marketed to every day, whether they realize it or not. And I think the most important thing when it comes to marketing is that successful businesses are selling feelings, not just, of course, they have to have a great product or a great service that has quality, but selling a feeling, I think, is the most important thing when you're talking about marketing. What are some of your favorite brands out there right now? Nike, Apple.
They're all wearing it.
The Beats. How about the Stanley Cups? Anybody care about those? The Stanleys. All these things, why do we like them, right? Of course, a Stanley Cup is fantastic, but is it any better than another cup that you're going to buy at the store for half the price? No. What is Stanley selling? They're selling status, right? What is Apple selling? Apple is selling convenience. You have this iPhone in your hand, and you literally have the world in the palm of your hand, and that's the convenience that they're selling. So any of these big brands that you guys are attached to, that we're attached to, that everyone's attached to, you're buying into the feeling that they're selling you. Sushi by Boo, for example, we sell, so our entire business model is that it's an affordable luxury. So I don't know if any of you guys are sushi fans. Any sushi fans here?
Woo!
Woo, okay, we got some. Does anyone know what omakase is?
Woo!
Okay. For those of you who don't know, omakase is basically, omakase in Japanese means to trust the chef. So you're sitting at a counter, you're getting fed piece by piece, there's no menu, and it's very experiential. So there's no tables, you're just sitting at the counter, and it's a very experiential dining experience versus a traditional one. So for us, the feeling that we're selling, for example, is affordable luxury. Most omakase places are 3 times the cost of what we're offering at, mostly because they have tables, which that means they have a bigger space, which means they're paying more in rent. So for us, we've kind of figured out the formula where it's a timed experience, where we're kind of moving people in and out, so we can charge less, and because of that, the brand then becomes an affordable luxury. We have celebrities in there, we have athletes in there, we have, it's an awesome brand, or it's an accessible brand where people feel comfortable. Usually omakase feels very rigid, it feels unapproachable, and for us, our entire brand has been created based on the fact that it's an approachable brand, it's an accessible luxury, we feel good about going there. Every single location has a completely different vibe. So we have like a 90s hip hop vibe, we have a roaring 20s vibe, we have a disco sushi vibe, and then the music matches, the staffing matches, the cocktail menu matches, and it's a very experiential experience from beginning to end. So when you're walking in there, the music, the vibe, the decor, the staff, the cocktails, everything is an all-encompassing experience. So when it comes to the team, some people always ask, like, is it better to start a business by yourself, or is it better to start a business with partners? Starting a business by yourself is very hard. Starting a business with a bad partner is even harder. Having a partner in a business is the same as entering a long-term relationship, right? It's essentially a marriage, because you're committing to this person in a business sense. So you have to make sure, you have to do your due diligence beforehand to make sure that it's a good fit. To make sure that your core values align, you have to make sure that your overall end goal is the same, that your mission is the same, that your core competencies complement each other, because you don't want 2 partners that will be fighting for the same role and fighting for the same thing, whereas a good partnership is where you can complement each other's pros and cons, where you can complement, okay, my strengths are his weaknesses, and vice versa, so you can create a good team. For example, I have 20 restaurants. I have never made a piece of sushi in my entire life, nor do I know how to. But my chef partner has studied in Japan for multiple years. He's actually in Japan right now. And this is, the culinary side, that's his passion. That's what he does. He's been studying with, different sushi masters. He's been living in Japan. So that's a good partnership, right? So I'm handling the business side, I'm handling the marketing side, I'm handling the business development side. He's handling the chef side and the culinary development side, and hiring the chefs and seeing, based on their skill sets. And he's developing the menu and working with different food vendors to get good pricing. I don't know about any of those things, so that makes a good partnership. When it comes to the team, you've all done team projects. I think we all know if you have a good team, you can do a lot more than if you have a team that's, not everyone's engaged, or not everyone's interested, or somebody's just kind of completely absent. I always say we are only as good as our team is. So when I look around the room, when I'm like in my office or I'm in my corporate structure and I look at my team, If my team is not engaged, if my team doesn't care, if my team is not like loyal to the overall mission, we have to replace that person because it's just not gonna work. They're like one cog in the whole system, and we need everybody on board to actually keep it going at the pace that we're going. Is anyone here interested or considering the hospitality industry for themselves in the future? Not yet. Okay, maybe after this slide. I'll give you some of the highlights of my favorite parts about the hospitality industry that maybe most people don't know. I think most people say, you know, oh, I'm not a chef, or oh, I don't really want to own a restaurant, and then they kind of leave it at that. I think the hospitality industry is such a big, big space, and I think for me, my favorite part about the hospitality industry is that the only prerequisite to not only work in the space, but to succeed is passion and a good work ethic. I can't tell you the number of people that I see that are super, super successful in this industry that have no education, have had no background in the space. They just walked in there, they're passionate about something, whether it's being part of a team or opening up a space or creating a concept, or they see a chef that they really think is so talented and they care about that culinary pursuit. And that passion and like the grit and the desire to succeed is all you need in the hospitality space. I think the industry attracts some of the most interesting people I've ever come across for that reason, because they're coming from all walks of life. There's no direct path to hospitality. People fall into it all the time, like, oh, I was just bartending on the side and now I own a restaurant, or oh, I was just a bar back at a restaurant because I needed extra cash and then I became friends with the owners and now I have my own food truck. You know, like there's so many different ways to apply yourself within the hospitality space, and there's just never a dull moment. So if you're looking for something that's creative and you can express yourself and to work at your own pace and just be part of a team that's always pushing the limits, hospitality is definitely a good place to be. On the flip side, I always thought to let you guys know, in case you didn't know, it's a very consuming business. If you think about it this way, all of like the general public's vacation days or holidays, those are the busiest days for the hospitality industry. So especially when you're juggling with family, like I am, for example, you know, my kids have off for spring break, but that means the place is always busy because everyone's off all week. Or, you know, I want to go spend the holidays with my family, but that's when our restaurants are the busiest because that's when we have the most tourism coming in, and that's when people are traveling, and that's when you're busiest. So if you're okay to handle that, it's one of the most gratifying experiences to own a restaurant. Hospitality means something different to everybody. Like I said, some people are in the culinary track and that's what they want to do. Some people just want to be able to be part of a team that they can create. When I think about it, the fact that my company now employs almost 300 people across the United States, like that's a very powerful thing to me. It's like very exciting that I can say we employ 300 people that are then supporting their families based on that. Like for me, it was never about hospitality specifically, but I found a space in which I could thrive by accident, just by exploring. So for me, the hospitality industry is just a conduit to community. It allows you to just engage with other local businesses, and it allows you to engage with families in the area, with local government. Here there's ribbon cuttings, that's the mayor of West Palm and the mayor of Boca. Just being engaged with so many different communities around you within like the bigger community that you're living in. Goals for the future. So for us right now, my company's goal is to get to 100 sushi restaurants, or 20% there, but we'll get there. Continuing to empower young people and providing them with the tools and motivation to help them pursue their goals and fight for their dreams, and realize that not every path is the same and that every path is different, and that if you follow your gut and follow your own instincts and explore and actually put yourself out there, you will find your own meaning of success and what that looks like for you. After the sushi business, the goal is to start an incubator for female-focused businesses, where basically, for anyone who's not sure what that means, basically similar to the Trust Bay concept, where the goal is to take on different female entrepreneurs and help them, incubate them, basically taking their ideas and supporting them with the structure and infrastructure to help them to bring their idea to real life and into a real life business. And of course, never stop evolving and always dreaming bigger. Like my 6-year-old always asks me, Mommy, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I always have an answer, because you gotta just keep going. You always have something new on the horizon. And that's it.